What's up, everybody, and welcome to the inaugural episode of the Virtual Reality Network podcast, a podcast about VR in VR.
Mind blown.
Mind blown, boom. I am one of your hosts, Tom Lynch, and I'm joined by Mr. VR himself, Mike Smith.
Hey.
How's it going, Mike?
Yeah, good.
Good.
Busy as always.
Oh, as always, man. As always. When we were not busy.
Pass, next question.
So yes, this is the inaugural episode of the Virtual Reality Network podcast, a podcast where we talk about everything VR, and of course it's being filmed in VR as well, but of course if you want to view it in traditional format, then there is going to be an audio and video version as well. And the first topic of the day, I think, is going to be what makes VR so special. Why are we so interested in VR? Why are we doubling down on VR? Why is it this next big thing? And now, you've been working with 360 and stuff for a while, so I'll throw it straight to you first of all. Give me your pitch for VR. Why is it so great?
There's numerous reasons. I mean, you know, the sort of thing we're looking at, especially with VR, the virtual reality network, is that we're looking at this from a sort of media perspective of how we can implement this now.
Sure.
What VR does more than traditional video is traditional videos, and you sort of see on flat screens and stuff, whereas VR sort of immerses you in there. And so the level of creativity in terms of telling a story becomes much more, we're still a little bit behind in terms of the interactive element.
Yeah.
But as it stands at the moment, it's a very good jumping off point to get involved with it, because you're sort of thinking about the audio,
Sure.
the kind of experience that has. You know, do you put an audio sound so it sounds like it's coming from behind you when you're wearing headsets and stuff? But I think more importantly, getting involved with VR now and why it's such a big thing is because it's become cost effective. It's not as complicated as it seems to actually produce this content, and obviously we're going to showcase this on the site and everything.
Yeah.
But it has become an accessible product, and even experiencing it has become accessible. You know, you've got the Samsung Galaxy Gear, the Oculus Rift, the HTC
All over
Vive,
social media.
PlayStation VR coming soon. You know, and admittedly they have their quirks in terms of things like games and stuff. But you see it with news organisations now, like the Guardian's been experimenting with it, the New York Times. In fact, you say about the work that I've been doing that some of the frustrations we've had is that people keep calling this an experiment.
Right.
And it really isn't an experiment.
No.
This is the next big thing, because once it becomes kind of mainstream and people, take on board the accessibility of it, then the next step is to push that technology even further forward, and that, in some respects, is both frightening and exciting.
Yeah.
So what would I sell VR on? It is an immersive experience. It's not.
100%.
It takes you away and puts you somewhere else which you normally wouldn't be able to do. And as storytellers, that for us is another dimension to the way we tell the story. In some respects, we can let the story tell itself. And in certain situations, certainly with the traditional news media, that's what you need it to do. Sometimes you don't need the commentary and stuff. It's enough to provide the atmosphere and let the story unfold for you, the viewer.
Sure.
I don't know. How do you?
No, yeah. I think for me, it's all about kind of jumping on top of this new piece of technology and this new medium. Really, I mean, as you say, it brings a whole new dimension and level of immersion to traditional kind of media forms that you've been used to. In terms of kind of applying it to the podcast kind of setting, what kind of drew me to it straight away was, podcasts are kind of meant to be a very passive experience, right? You can stick on your headphones, listen to a podcast while you go about your daily life sort of thing. But in terms of when you look at it from a video perspective, and you kind of want that extra level of kind of immersion, you almost kind of want to be a part of the discussion. Like, you're chiming in, to certain discussions, you have answers in your head. So how can virtual reality kind of almost create this illusion that you are a part of the podcast and you have got another seat at the table sort of thing? And that concept really excited me in terms of applying VR to a podcast, and hopefully this is kind of like the impression that we're going to kind of give off.
Yeah, I mean,
podcasts and things.
It's fundamentally what we're working to. I mean, obviously we don't want to distract from the story too much, in the sense the story is about us discussing things and we want the viewer participation, but it means we can do more for the viewer in the
Yeah.
sense that, you know, we're filming this in 360 degree now, but you look at the space that we have in this room, the stuff that we can do that can make that
Yeah.
even more immersive and more informative as well as part of that discussion. So,
Sure.
you know, for example, behind the camera we can put up like what the next topic is.
Yeah.
You know, we can put graphics up and GIFs and stuff, and these are tangible objects in a 3D space that you can actually look around and interact with while you're listening to things, and that is something you don't normally see in any kind of form of media. It's like
No.
your attention's directed solely on that thing, which, you know, in some respects from a movie making or, you know, a video making process is understandable. You have to direct the attention forward, you know, that's part and parcel of it, but
Sure.
there's intricate things that can be told behind that,
Yeah.
and sometimes that's the most fascinating way, that's the more fascinating thing within the story, is that
100%.
what's the story going on with the people. For example, you go out and you might do like we recently did with the poke walk, you know, we
Yeah.
went out and, you know, we filmed that and everything, and some of the more interesting dynamics of human behaviour within that video is the stuff that happened behind camera and, you know, to the sides of the camera, and yet so you've immersed yourself in this walk as if you're going along with it, but you have the option to then look around, which, you know, I don't know any other media forms that do that.
No, 100%. Yeah, it's incredibly exciting because it's all so new. So we ourselves are kind of trying to get to grips with, you know, what works best, you know, in terms of kind of podcasts and stuff. You know, what length is going to be appropriate, you know, for people, making sure they're not getting too dizzy and disorientated or whatever. So it's and that's what makes it exciting, because, you know, this hasn't been done before, and we're on the precipice of that, really. We're trying to figure it out ourselves, and then as we go, hopefully the content will improve and get better and stuff. But yeah, it's incredibly exciting. And in terms of, you're more looking at kind of the broadcast element, I suppose, which is something else that's going to be under the virtual reality network umbrella, shall we say. So it's kind of like delivering traditional TV broadcasts, but in kind of a 360 environment as well, which is pretty exciting. But yeah, in terms of the podcast, as you say, we can start playing around with the set. We can start having almost a lot more creative freedom, and doing a lot more with podcasts, because, you know, typically it's just, you know, people gather around a table talking, but now we can kind of, as you say, throw in videos, throw in images, throw in GIFs. We can, you know, cut to trailers almost if we're talking about a particular, you know, topic or whatever it might be, or an article or something.
But now what you're effectively saying is that we can put the individual at the table, whereas before you wouldn't.
Yeah.
But I want to come back to answering your question, really. I think the most definitive answer here is it's a new frontier. Fundamentally, like,
yeah, 100%.
You know, in journalism and media production, is we have all these written rules in terms of things like ethics and all these kinds of things, and, you know, fundamentally we're going to have to tear them up as a result of this new technology, because you know, things like standard traditional journalism ethics might still apply, but then there's other elements we have to do. So we might have to have a hybrid with psychological elements.
Yeah.
So then how do we change that? And, you know, so there's this whole brand new frontier, and it's opened up just purely on accessibility. So that is fundamentally what makes VR exciting. It's a brand new frontier for us as creators, but also for those that are viewers as well, and audience members. And if you're sort of watching this back at some point in the future, it's like this is something you can point to and sort of say, actually, this is, I kind of like this, you know, I can see where it's starting to progress and go forward from that. And
100%.
so, you know, so like you say, we're kind of starting out, and I think that's fundamentally what makes it exciting. What will carry it forward is a new frontier, and you know, people will be excited to see where that goes, and I think that enthusiasm is there for it. I mean, PlayStation VR is sold out in 15 minutes.
I put my pre-order down for mine, granted far too late, so I'm not going to get mine until like December, January now.
Oh, I guarantee you'll get one before that.
You think so? Maybe.
I guarantee you they'll mass produce more units, but and you've got to allow for cancellations and stuff. But even things like Oculus coming onto store shelves and the HTC Vive, I think there's more incentive now for media producers to go and get involved with this sort of stuff, because in the past it was like it wasn't a consumer-based product. No, but now, I mean, we've got a prime example of this. This is like $10.
I was going to say exactly, like there's almost been this kind of stigma attached to virtual reality in 360 that it's like, oh, it's a really expensive medium. You have to fork out hundreds of pounds for an Oculus and then buy a huge tower or whatever. But as you say, with things like Google Cardboard and smartphones and stuff, I think Samsung packs in a virtual reality headset with their new thing. So as you say, it's becoming more and more almost affordable, I guess, and accessible to just your average kind of consumer or user that wants to kind of get involved with this stuff, really. And it's kind of developed as time has gone. So you know how you could kind of have those kind of panorama pictures. Yeah. So it started at a very kind of grassroots level, but now it's starting to develop more and more as people experiment with this, as you say, with technology and stuff.
Yeah. But you should just point out at this point, if you've kind of been experimenting with this stuff yourself, what I would suggest is that you go on our Facebook page, and I'll find the thing for you in a second. But on there you'll be able to actually, so if you've taken even just like a 180 photo on your phone, then I would suggest that you share that with us, and also we can share that throughout our network, and because like you said before, we're fundamentally testing this, so we'd kind of like to see what the audience tests as well. Yeah. So on Facebook we're at Virtual Reality Media Network. So if you go on that page, give us a like, subscribe, etc. And then you can post those 180 photos or any 360 photos that you have on there. Sure. So what other questions did you have for us?
Well, I guess you kind of touched on what makes VR so special. I guess why now is VR taking off? Like why you hear this term get thrown around this year, like this is the year of VR. Obviously, because you're having all the headsets and stuff come out now, but why is it now? Like, why is this not a piece of technology that's 3-4 years down the line? Why is it?
I think what annoys me with that expression is whenever you design something as the year of, it's fundamentally going to fall flat on its face straight away. And that also suggests that it's only got a year. I mean, there's discussions I've had where, I wouldn't say they're heated debates, but I still think VR's got 10 years, and then they
this is definitely not a gimmick.
It might transition into the augmented reality thing, which is a discussion for another day.
Another beast entirely.
With the Pokemon Go stuff. But, so what was I say? So, I think it's the investment and it's the application of stuff. I mean, we're sort of applying this to within a media framework and context of let's do podcasts, let's do broadcasts. Let's broadcast live events and stuff to kind of put people in there, but there's other applications for this that spread far and wide. Windows are already looking at virtual offices for 2017, and people might go, oh, why would you need a virtual reality office if you're in an office? But you have to consider the health implications of it. I mean, and again, that'll be another thing to tackle on another show. But
teasing all these future topics here, Mike.
But the health implications of the fact that in an office you're in a closed environment, it can be quite frustrating and stuff. It can be difficult to multitask and stuff because you have all these things going on. Whereas with the virtual office element is you can customise that to be an immersive experience where you feel most comfortable doing your work. So, for example, if you wanted your Windows background to make you immersed as if you're sat at a desk on the moon, sort of, to put gaming reference in there, like Heavy Rain, where the guy's sat there on Mars and he's doing all his work and stuff. If that's what helps you concentrate and immerses you to get your work done, then there's a productivity element there that can really benefit people from a sense of mind, and not this constant clock watching and stuff. But again, that comes back to the health issue. So we'll look at that again another week. But so that's why I don't think it's going to go anytime soon, because people really are sort of thinking out of the box of the applications for it.
Yeah, I agree.
We talk about the games elements and games.
Games is just the start.
It is a factor for it, but you look at the frustrating thing. I hate the experiments, but like Nasdaq, for example, did a test of it and they ran the entire stock market in VR. Now, that might sound like a pointless exercise, but actually, given the amount of streaming data that one individual might have to deal with, surely that's got to be a better system management way of doing it.
Sure.
Being able to view the impacts and stuff in a virtual things and in real time, in a virtually immersive environment. And you know, we are forgetting the social aspect of it here. You know, what if you're able to actually communicate with your counterpart in, say, like
halfway across the world or something
halfway
like that.
across the world,
home, sure.
While that market's live and you both can view it. I mean, is that not what Web 2.0 is all about?
Exactly.
And
exactly.
VR is kind of a massive part of that.
Yeah, I mean, like, as exciting as games are, and that's kind of where VR is being propelled into the mainstream sort of thing, because VR has been around for quite some time, but it's only now that it's starting to gather pace and stuff, and you know, people like PlayStation and Oculus are starting to experiment it with a lot more and try and get it in front of people. But like, as exciting as games are, and like playing games in VR, you know, how long is it going to be before you can, you know, look around Mars or something? You know, NASA sends a 360 camera up there. Oh, we already done it?
Yeah. I mean,
I'm behind the times.
there is an application to go and have a look at.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Which has been cut together through clever imagery. Together for different angles to make that sphere. So that is the complicated end of the creation process.
Sure.
But you can understand why. But then
Yeah.
it's NASA, so it's not like, you know, they haven't got rocket
It's
science.
outside their reach.
yeah. They've got rocket scientists, they'll be fine. But I think the key thing fundamentally, and you touched upon the fact that VR's sort of been around before, and it's not kind of...
The idea's been there.
No, I mean, even in the units themselves, I remember testing one in the 90s myself on PC and playing Doom and Duke Nukem, that was the old sprite graphics and stuff. So, and that was pretty immersive back then. So, and that wasn't necessarily reliant on graphical fidelity. I think that the important thing is this time is that, you know, and you're more than welcome to fact check me on this. I might be wrong, but
sound out in the comments.
The investment cycle in VR is ridiculous. It's estimated to bring in, and this is, we should point out, this is before PlayStation VR even hits the market, is that the expected profit for each year between now and 2020 is $7 billion a year, which doesn't seem like a lot in comparison to, I don't know, the 89 billions that the games industry brings in year on year. But then what's interesting about that is the actual investment between now and 2020 is $1 trillion in terms of VR creation. So this isn't just about the VR industry. This is about making sure people are trained. This is about creating new companies that specialise in VR. This is about offering VR to customer products.
Yeah.
You know, things like the Thompson virtual tours for holidays and stuff. So this isn't just about you know, giving the money to games developers and say go make some amazing games. This is about fundamentally investment, companies investing in their own technology. You know, be that CMS, content management tools, server management tools. You know, certainly in the design industry and architecture, you know, being able to build things in 3D and test it out. It was only the other day that we had somebody test a jet engine out in real time, because the data fed through the jet engine, so they could pull the engine apart virtually and see how it was running diagnostically. And it's the first time that anybody's actually been able to review a jet engine as it's working live in a laboratory. Now, surely that has huge implications, but that's just an example of it.
Of course, yeah. I mean, whenever you hear people talk about VR, you kind of know that it's just not something that they're tacking on to something. It's not like, I don't know, again coming back to games where you just kind of tack on a multiplayer element or something. This is, whenever you hear like Shuhei Yoshida talk about PlayStation VR, they are treating it like the launch of the PS1. Like, this is a huge, the next...
That's a direct quote.
Direct quote. Like, they are literally treating it like a new console launch. Like, this is the next big thing. This is the next step, and it's only going to be a matter of time before you see, you know, big studios and big filmmakers start to experiment with this, and you start seeing.
I think they already are. I mean, you know, Netflix are kind of looking at it, and that presents some challenges at the top end of it and stuff, but. Yeah, no, it's an interesting one. I think with the gaming things, I think it will be tacked on as an experience to start off.
To begin with, there'll be very much there'll be experiences, like maybe 1 and 2 hour experiences, but then you'll get maybe like Resident Evil 7 or something that's, you know, the whole game could be played
Well,
in
it
VR.
is.
Yeah.
It's going to be so.
So like it's only going to be a matter of time before maybe the next Call of Duty or the next Naughty Dog game or the next Assassin's Creed is like playable in VR or something. Maybe, who knows? Who knows? But it's just about people making those first steps, and as we say, experiment with it, even though you don't like the term. But like it's going to take that experiment for people to realise that it's something that they can do exciting stuff with.
Yeah. I think the thing for me, the reason the term experiment's the wrong way is because it's not an experiment. What you're trying to do when you do these kinds of things like we are now is that we're testing a tool.
Sure.
Because fundamentally that's what it is. It's a tool for us to then be able to achieve our overall objectives, which is being that immersive thing and just making you feel like you are part of the show. And that's what we want.
100%.
And that's what makes it different.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
it kind of answered your original question and secondary question with more or less the same answer. So.
Sure. I mean, people are always trying to find a way to kind of bridge the gap between audience and producer, and some that can be, I don't know, by getting them to kind of interact with, say, a storyline and have them just choose the fate of a character or something in a TV show or a comic book or whatever it might be. But what VR allows filmmakers and other people to do is actually put these people in the thing that they're creating itself.
Yeah.
And almost kind of craft the story around them, sort of thing. And
so I was going to say, let's round that up then in terms of your point and just talk about the Batman thing in terms of what you're saying, like looking through the eyes.
Arkham VR, yeah. Sure, yeah. That's what sold me on VR straight away. Yeah, but basically Batman Arkham VR is like, I think it's about a 60-minute experience if you blast through it, but like if you really want to kind of explore the world and take it all in, then it can stretch between like an hour and a half, 2 hours. But basically, you become Batman in this game, and you start off in Wayne Manor as Bruce Wayne. You talk to Alfred. You then go down into the Batcave. The Batsuit comes up in a little pod sort of thing. You reach out, you grab the cowl, you put it on, you put on the utility belt, you grab the gadgets, and then you go out into Gotham and you kind of solve a murder. So I don't know if with the Arkham games, how you do the detective mode and you kind of reconstruct the crime and stuff. You do that. And yeah, every single person that's come away from playing that game is just like, this is insane. Yeah. Like this might be PSVR's killer app sort of thing, another term that people gets floated around, but it's something like that. So, somebody from Rocksteady. I didn't expect that. Like when Sony did their PlayStation conference, and I watched it back, and Mark Hamill started speaking, and you could see the Batcowl. I was like, oh my god, are they doing a new Batman game? But surely it can't be Rocksteady because they've just wrapped up Arkham Knight. But it's like, no, Rocksteady is doing Arkham VR, and that's shouting from the rooftops that this top tier developer is taking something
one of the best in the industry.
But yeah, one of the best in the industry is taking something like Batman and the Arkham franchise, and is doing this VR experience. And in any interview that Sefton Hill is in, he was like, the Arkham games have always been about making you feel like the Batman, but now this will literally do that. That's what they've always wanted to do. So it's awesome to see developers even now start to produce these sort of experiences. So it's only going to be a matter of time before, as we say, big huge games that we know and love are going to start either being playable in VR, or there's going to be some sort of VR experience that you can mess around with. So it's just a matter of time.
So you should wrap this up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. I digress.
As well as I was going to say that, just through this general conversation, you can see the enthusiasm, and I guess this comes back to the point of VR is very much a human element to it that you can experience, and you've probably seen our reactions as we talk, and and again it's not something you get out on a 2D experience, but it feels very two-dimensional.
Sure.
And so here you have it. So I'm just going to point to our social media stuff as well.
The social media one.
It'll be up on the screen anyway. Somewhere behind you over there.
It could be anywhere.
Yeah. Have a look around. There's Pikachu in the corner as well. So. So at VR Network Media is us on Twitter, and then on Facebook we're at Virtual Reality News Network. And I think we have something on Instagram. I can't even remember what that one is.
Somewhat along the same lines.
Virtual Reality Network on Instagram. So
Yeah,
you can post some of your cool creativity things.
Sure.